One of our last videos that we're gonna do before we all go back to school is I'm gonna teach you a little bit about how to draw a tree. Alright, trees are pretty hard to draw, and one reason is because there's so many different kinds of trees. There's not just one kind of tree. Okay, you can think of a simple tree that we all kind of draw like that, and then sometimes when it's Christmas time we draw trees like this. So trees are really different, but one important thing to know when you're drawing a tree is that trees are really all just triangle shapes. I'm not talking about the leaves yet. The leaves can all be different shapes. You could have leaves that look like this, you can have leaves that are like this, some leaves even look like this. Okay, leaves are all different, but the shapes of the tree, that means the wood, the branches and the roots and the trunk, that's all the same. Okay, that's always going to be triangles. So using the same thing I showed you when we learned how to draw the scooter, we're going to be doing two things today. We're going to have two different colors. One color is going to be about blocking, and that's just drawing down the shapes that we see. And then later we're going to get out our black pen or marker and we're going to round everything out, do some rounding, and then you can erase the lines that you don't need that you used on your blocking color. And for you, I would use a pencil because you can erase it. For me, I'm on a computer, so it's a little different like before. Okay, so let me show you here what I've got. The first thing I've done here in my little computer, down here, you can see some colors down here. You can see a bunch of squares. You see black, a gray, almost like a yellow green, a really light green. Then I have a medium green, I have a dark green, and then I have a bright yellow. So these are the colors I'm using today, and that's it. I'm not going to use any more colors for this time. Alright? So let's start with black and talk a little bit about a tree's shape. So from the ground at the bottom all the way up to the sky up here where you see this little cloud, trees are bigger at the bottom and they slowly get smaller and smaller and smaller like that. So you can see all these little triangle shapes inside what I just did, right? You see all these different triangles. They're kind of one on top of each other, and they get smaller as you go all the way up. Now trees also have branches that go out each different way, and those are also triangles. So this is the main trunk of my tree. Okay, here's the tree trunk, and then it goes all the way up to the top. Now if I turn my paper sideways like this, I want to start to draw branches, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw some triangle shapes that just get smaller and smaller. Okay, and actually I don't like that. Usually they try to grow more up. So I'm going to turn my paper like this and draw a triangle there, another one here, and another one here. That looks pretty good. Now I'm also going to draw one more on the other side. Kind of the same thing. And it's okay if they're all different sizes. Every tree is different. Kind of looks like a little man, but that's fine. So I have my trunk, which is the base, and I have a limb. These are called limbs or branches. And now let's do some smaller branches. And again, triangle shapes. Alright, let's do another one over here. Triangle shapes. Let's do a couple up here. Some triangle shapes. Alright, and let's do a few on this side. And it's all triangles. So if you go back to to what we have. The beginning of a tree, it's all the same shape. It's all just triangles. So I'm going to erase this, and with my gray, I'm going to start blocking out the shape of a tree that I kind of like. And then later, I'm going to take black, and we're going to round it out and make it really good. So let's just get rid of this garbage here. Erase that. And here we go. Hope you're ready. So let's go to our blocking color, which is gray. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to start with, I want to go pretty big. When you're learning to draw, it's always better to go nice and big. I'm going to do another one there, going up. Let's do another one here. And let's just do one more that kind of goes up to the top of our tree. Turn your paper a little bit. And let's draw. Let's go from here to here. Let's do from here to here. And let's just do one more like that. Now let's make this one go up a little more. It's fine if you do it at the same, right at the same level here, but I think it's more interesting if you have them at different places. Okay, let's do one more, and let's just do one more. Now let's go up to our top. Let's do a couple little ones, all right? Just a couple little branches. There we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now let's do the really small branches. So let's have a little branch that goes off this way. Let's have one that comes off this way. And when you get to the really small ones, you just have to draw lines. So it gets easier. The smaller it gets on the branch, it's actually really easy. And you can always do that. That's a really easy kind of shape. You have a line, another line, and you can put them at different places. And remember, the bottom is always the biggest. Everything on a tree, starting from here all the way to here, it's always getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So on a branch, that first line, it might be really thick. This might be really long, but then look what happens. They get smaller and thinner as they go. So it's always good to remember. All right, let's go up here. So remember, nice and small. Let's do a little branch there. That's good. Maybe one more. Let's do another little guy, a couple guys here. Now these endings, the ends of all these branches, this is where there's going to be leaves, okay? There's going to be leaves on all these different parts. Here we go. Let's make a little bigger one here. The more different it looks, the better. Everyone's trees will be different. There's no right way to draw a tree. You can go outside right now and you will see that every tree is 100% different. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that shape. Now I'm gonna go to my black color and I'm gonna start rounding it out. So trees are not straight like these shapes are all straight lines. Trees aren't like that. In nature, things are more rounded, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that line here and we're gonna go up like that. And we're gonna go there, stop. So mostly I'm tracing because when you do a really good job of blocking, you're gonna see that a lot of times you're just tracing. The better you get at drawing, you're not going to be using your eraser as much. So I did an okay job here. So really all I need to do is just trace that. And if it's a little bit different, that's great. Make it a little crazier. See how I'm making the lines a little more round and messy. Okay, so we've got one part done. Now let's go up. Let's get this branch here. Get some little guys going like that. There's the top of our tree. Okay. So looking pretty good. And you notice I'm not drawing these lines. I don't want those. That was just when I was blocking out the shape. Those lines aren't really in my tree. Rounded out at the bottom there. And I'm just going to go a little faster because I really want you guys to get your paper out and try this by yourself. Okay? And there you go. I think I'm pretty happy with this shape. Now, another thing that trees have on wood is bark. Okay, so when you look at a log where it's been cut, you see the rings of the tree inside, but then you see all these rough, crazy lines. This is bark. This is what's on the outside of the tree that keeps the tree safe from a lot of different bugs and things that want to eat it. And it also keeps it safe from bad weather and fire, lots of different things. So let's draw some bark. So bark's kind of easy. What we do with that, start with small lines. You can kind of start on the sides if you want. Alright, kind of going up, remember, everything gets smaller when you get to the top or to the ends. Alright, and then the bark also follows out onto these branches as well, just like this. Alright, there you go. And now I want to kind of think a little bit about where the sun is, and I'm going to teach you guys this later when we do more drawing in class, but let's just say my sun is on this side. That means that everything on the left side of my drawing is going to be lighter than everything on the right side. So what I might want to do is I might want to put some more lines, just a few, on to the right side of my tree. And these are called shadows. And you can see now that the more I do that, the more my tree is starting to look like a real tree. So it's not always just the shape of a tree, sometimes the light, where the light is. And if you get good at drawing light and shadow, then your tree's going to really start to look really cool. Also, trees sometimes have little holes in them. See, I'm just going to give it a little hole here and maybe another one down there. And a lot of times these lines come out more. So watch what happens if I erase this bottom line there. Let's go back to that. And if I erase this bottom line and I stop there, then what I can do is with my black again, I can make these lines kind of come all the way down. And you see how this goes straight down and then they start to follow the other lines of the tree. And of course this is going to be a little bit darker over here because the sun's there. There is my tree. Now what I'm going to do, so I've done all my rounding out with my black marker. So with my eraser, I erase all my rounded out, my blocking out with my gray, and I have a nice little tree. Let's just finish that little line there. Okay. Now it's time to do some leaves. Okay, let's get rid of this little guy. We don't need him today. Bye-bye, sun. And so with the leaves, I'm going back to the colors that I chose. I'm going to start with, now you have two ways of doing this. You can start with the lighter colors first, or you can do the darker colors first. I like to start with the lighter ones. So I'm going to start with this yellow first. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do dot shapes, just like that. Okay, so if you're using a marker, you can do dot shapes. You can even do bigger ones by coloring in circles. So that's all I'm going to do. So I'm going to go up to my branches, and at the end of each one of these, I'm going to just start with some little leaves. And it's okay if it covers some of the black. That is going to make it look real. When we look at a tree, a lot of times we don't see this stuff up at the top or the middle because there's so many leaves in front of it. Alright? So this is a good thing to do to cover up some of the black. Alright, so now we have yellow. Already that looks good. I'm going to go to my next dark color, which is this light green. And I'm just going to make some of these, they kind of look like they're flying or floating. But that's okay, it's giving the tree more body. You see, we're starting to see that shape that we always draw that's like this. Well, that shape is because of everything in there. Those are all little leaves. Little leaves all around that tree. Okay, so there we go. Now, let's go to our middle green. And I don't want too many of these. Some of these are just like that. You can even put a few on the ground. Maybe they fell down. Okay. And if you listen to the sound of what I'm doing, you can imagine on a paper, if you're using markers, what you'd be doing, or crayons, or anything. And my last color, my dark, and these I want to do really not so many. And that's it. There is a pretty easy, real looking tree that you can do. Alright, now I just want to show you one more thing before the end of the video. What if you want to do a brown tree? Well, that's a good question. So if I wanted to make a brown tree, what I would do is I would use brown for my blocking color, okay? And what you can do with that is you could actually start to color in that shape. Once you blocked out, you know, the shapes that you want on your tree, like that, okay, then you could actually start to color that in. So in the end, you wouldn't be able to erase a lot of this, but later when you got your black and you started to round out your tree at the very end, it would still look pretty cool. You would color it in, and then you could do all your bark and things in like that. Okay? That's it. I hope you enjoy that, and can't wait to see everybody's tree drawings.